and the 2001 winners Colombia meet on Friday in the third place playoff in the Copa America in Brazil. Argentina and Brazil will do battle for the championship, the main course, on Saturday. Now, Peru were beaten 1-0 by Brazil in the semifinals, while Colombia went down 3-2 on penalties to Argentina. And joining us to look ahead to this matchup is the gentleman, Brent Sancho. Brent, good afternoon. Good to see you again.
Good seeing you, George. Hello, Mariah.
Good. All right, so Colombia and Peru, a replay of a group fixture that we had earlier in this tournament, which the Peruvians won. I'm concerned, or I shouldn't be concerned, about how blunt of an instrument Colombia's attack has been. In the 6 games that they've played, they've scored 4 goals. And they've not looked like threatening too much, and yet they find themselves in a third place playoff, and they were 1 game away from making the final. The James Rodriguez absence has told on the Colombians' performance, but yet still they find themselves in this position. So I say all of that to set up this question. What's Colombia's route to goal against Peru in that game on Friday?
Yeah, I think that you hit the nail on the head. I think that the fact that James Rodriguez has missed this tournament, and a player that both you and I like, George, Duvan Zapata, has just not shown up in the tournament. And that really surprised me, because I was looking at him to kick on, of course, having a great season at Atlanta. And I figured he would have just pushed on and done more, but he just did not show up in the tournament. And Colombia could count themselves unlucky, even in the semi-final loss to Argentina, 2 penalty kicks. I thought they could have snatched a victory in that one as well, and they would be disappointed. They had all the possibilities to get into the finals, but this game in particular in Peru, I think, is to give some of the lesser charges a chance to play, and maybe, of course, try to mix things up front.
But hear me now, Brent, and it's good to have you, the expert, the professional, on the panel. I'm wondering about the confidence within the Colombian team and the confidence within the attacking ranks, because I'm suggesting that it is a bad mark on a team when you are in a penalty shootout, in a semi-final against a team like Argentina, and your first 2 takers are your 2 center halves, Davinson Sanchez and Yerry Mina. It suggests to me, Brent Sancho, your attacking players lack confidence, they lack gumption, and because your specialist attackers are afraid of taking penalties, your center halves have to step up, which says to me that the 4 goals in 6 games aren't by accident. This is a team collectively, regardless of who they put on the pitch, that is bereft of confidence on the sharp end of the attack.
And let me throw something else in that mix, George. The fact that they would have won on penalty kicks in the game before that. So it would have been very much from the Argentinian coaching standpoint that they would have known exactly where some of the penalty kickers would be going. Maybe they should have mixed things up and put a different 5, of course, to kick penalties. That's something I always wonder when it comes to teams in this stage of the tournament. They should have at least 8 to 9 penalty kickers where they can mix things up a bit, because we all know that there is something called a cheat sheet that goalkeepers use in these types of tournaments. And I thought they would have mixed it up a bit, and they had the same set of penalty kickers, and they went in the same spot that they did in the game before. So you're right. Where's the confidence for the others that should have stepped up and maybe taken that place?
Yeah, one last point on the Colombians before we talk about Peru. A player that caught our eye when we did the Champions League coverage this past season, Luis Diaz, who scored a wonderful solo goal against Man City. You remember that he picked up the ball at the half line and he just dribbled and crashed it in. He has caught the eye for Colombia on the left, but he's like a man on an island with a cork full of water, not much to assist him, and I don't see him being in enough, notwithstanding the form that he's been in and how much he's caught the eye. I don't see him being enough to help the Colombians in this third place playoff if he gets a game.
And listen, George, he had an outstanding game against Argentina as well. It had me scratching my head as to what he's doing and still in the Portuguese league. I think at some point he is going to move. If there's one player value that's gone up in this tournament, it's that young man. He's been absolutely outstanding. And you're right, he has had 0 support. And again, it goes back to that we both like, which is Zapata, which he just hasn't shown up. And I think even he had given Colombia at least 80% to 70% of what he could do. That is Zapata. I think the Colombians would have been in the finals.
Yeah, for Peru, they started this tournament inauspiciously. A 4-0 thrashing, which caused me to think that, maybe they'll carry the wooden spoon in this competition. They were so awful in that first game, but they recovered well. 8 goals in their 6 games, and they look as if they know where the goal is. And then Andre Carrillo is playing some good football as well, Brent. Everything suggests that they are favorites for this third place playoff. Do you agree?
Yeah, I would agree with that simply because, as we was just saying, that Colombia, from an attacking perspective, just hasn't shown up in this tournament. And Peru seemed to have found their legs as it went on. I thought they were a little bit unfortunate against Brazil, particularly when Brazil went down to 10 men. Padula had 1 or 2 looks.
Players very, very well. The Peruvian custodian, Pedro Gaesi, yeah, and of course David Ospina, the man between the sticks for Colombia. If it is to come down to the goalkeepers, I think Peru would say that they have the better goalkeeper, because for me, we know that perhaps 3 Copas ago, David Ospina was among the best goalkeepers in South America, I would suggest.
Even look at the game against Argentina. He made some errors, which I thought some uncharacteristic errors. But you're right, the steady decline. Let me state that the steady decline for a goalkeeper that I thought would have gone on to bigger clubs in Europe and would have gone on to a better career. But he seems to be more going, of course, in the opposite direction. And if I was to have a choice of goalkeeper, I'll certainly tip my hat to Peru.
Yeah, not lean anymore. Seems to have put on a bit of weight, David Ospina. Maybe the money has made him comfortable over time. Brent, your score prediction on this one. You haven't been doing well with your score predictions since the Champions League, my friend, and I'm giving you a chance to get back to form.
I'm going all out here. I'm going for a 2-0 Peru.
2-0 Peru. It's a score I like. It's a scoreline I like as well, my friend. All the best. We'll talk again.
All right, take care.
Good.
Thanks.
Brent Sancho there with his perspective on the third place playoff, which will be live on SportsMax, your home of champions. South American football, why not? The Copa America's penultimate game, Peru and Colombia, 7 p.m., 8 p.m. ECT on SportsMax 2. Who you got?